There's this elephant in the room, one that started to emerge a lot more after the Armstrong Powerhouse released that Class 66 Enhancement pack. The elephant in particular has a name. I'll be getting onto that in a moment. But he says this one phrase, which has been repeated many times on the Armstrong Powerhouse Facebook page. And it goes like this.
If you don't like it, then don't buy it.
Thanks to some behind the scenes research, I finally managed to work out what this type of fallacy is. Because it is a fallacy. It's nothing more short of a logical informal fallacy that people have been using to death. Quoting from Wikipedia, the fallacy in question is called ergo decado, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, which is Latin for therefore leave. Funny. It's also referred to as the traitorous critic fallacy, and it's a means of responding to criticism by attacking a person's perceived favourability to an outgroup as the underlying reason for the criticism rather than addressing the criticism itself. The critic is assumed to be ungrateful for the values and customs of the group, or even traitorous, and thus suggested that they should stay away from the issue altogether, typically by leaving the group. It is categorized as an informal fallacy and a subclass of ad hominem, which is where instead of attacking the argument, you attack the person. The fallacy is mainly used for derailing discussion, a red herring in a way, as well as attacking the actual person instead of their argument, and as well as shoehorning in the perceived amount of critical immunity the Armstrong Powerhouse have. I mean, if you don't like their stuff, don't buy it. And whilst you're at it, if you don't like living in a tatty little house in Middlesbrough, scraping by on benefits with the threat of eviction every time you sleep, then just move to Oxshott. It's easy. You see how stupid that sounds? Now, I was going to reply to many of these comments and just have a lot of fun with them, but I'm just going to stockpile most of them for a future replying to comments video. I'm really not in the mood to reply to all of them. Sorry. I'll reply to one, specifically one written by the Armstrong Powerhouse themselves. It at least allows me to get my criticisms of the 66 Enhancement Pack out there.
Our scripter is currently busy with an non-AP product, so we are using this time to create packs that don't require his input.
So why don't you just make a scenario pack? No, really, why don't you just make a scenario pack? Was the demand for a Class 66 Enhancement pack that is so similar to the Pro pack to the point where you might as well just call it a Pro V2 that high? As in, more than that? Or that? Sorry, my suspension of disbelief doesn't go that far, I'm afraid.
The reason for this pack is the 14 liveries,
of which the community have already provided the majority of already. And as for the ones the community haven't provided, don't worry, Richard Hammond has already provided a long list of the amount of people who care for such a mission. Would now be a bad time to show the liveries you missed off? It would? Alright, let's see them! Moving on.
Improved cab visuals, improved dynamic exhaust effects and 2 new scenarios.
Okay, what makes the Armstrong Powerhouse scenario different, or even then better, than one that I can get off the workshop or UK Train Sim? Remember, real-time trains is public, okay? It's not just restricted to Harpenden. Secondly, the majority, if not all of those improvements are just aesthetics. You know, that's the biggest problem with this enhancement pack, apart from the fact that nobody asked for this and it's somehow double the price of the Pro pack. To make matters even worse, there were 2 variants of the Class 66 that weren't included, the variant 6 and the variant 9. The variant 6 has a higher tractive effort at the expense of a lower top speed of 65 miles an hour, making them more suitable on bulk load trains. You know, aggregate, oil, sand, cement, those kinds of freight trains. The variant 9 has lower emissions and a reduced fuel capacity. The two variants of the Class 66 that would have the most effect on gameplay, you've left out. Oops. And if the scripter is who I think he is, he has already proven that the Class 66 Variant 6 can be scripted onto the 66 onto Train Simulator. Oops.
A 50% discount is offered for existing owners of the Class 66 Sound Pack Pro to take account of the parts of this pack they already own.
And how much did the original Pro Pack cost again? £5. So they're still paying the same amount of money just over a different period of time.
If it is indeed as unpopular and unnecessary as you say, well, we won't make many sales and the money pot you mention will be decidedly empty.
After the release of the DBSO, I've come to the conclusion that the Armstrong Powerhouse can practically make any add-on for Train Simulator within reason and still make sales of it. Though I'm still not sold on this enhancement pack. As I said in my previous video, the 66 is one of the last two trains I could think of you could use to try and justify enhancement packs. Well, I think that's all I've got to say on this little mishap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to end on a quote. The Armstrong Powerhouse have the same level of critical immunity as I do, and I have no critical immunity. No, in fact, nobody has any critical immunity. If the Armstrong Powerhouse had any level of critical immunity, why would they be spending their time making content for Train Simulator? If I was in his position and I had, as I said, critical immunity, I'd just be a politician or run for Prime Minister.